Welcome back, dear friend, to the EMPCOE ESCAPE Fire Starter. This is a series, so we'll link you to the previous episode. Here with Illegally Blind. Can I call you IB? Does that work?
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right. What are we doing here? Well, the EMPCO is an event that may have some electrifying things going on, and so we're packing a backpack because we might be on the move, and we're gonna do it sans metal, so all earth products, etc. Shall we get started? We have last episode we put up a shelter. We caught a fish. If you want to forage for some herbs to season that, we'll definitely put a link in the description. But I don't want to keep the fire starter waiting any longer. IB, let's light it up.
All right, so basically the most important piece, I guess, would be your fire starter. You can have a hand drill, but if possible, obviously the best thing to have primitive style would be a bow drill, because it's basically a hand drill, except the bow does all the work for you, and you don't get blisters. So you got the board, the spindle, and the bow. Basically, the board is made out of crafted out of a softer wood. The spindle's crafted out of a harder wood, so that you're kind of grinding away at the softer wood instead.
Mm-hmm.
But say you're out in the wilderness crafting your own, and you don't like buy one of these, you would basically look for a soft wood and cut out a notch, like this V over here. Then kind of like chip away as much as you can for a little crater, and then round off the edges of a stick. This doesn't have to be like this. It could just legit be like
I got
all the
you.
way the same girth. But mine's like this because you have to hold down on the spindle to keep pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you're going to destroy your hand doing that. So people usually use jars for this, but we're being super primitive here, so we only got rocks out in the nature, right? So you would basically find a nice looking rock and find another rock that's sharp and like grind it against the other one until you like drill out a hole like this. And you could
Mm-hmm.
put like beeswax in it or any kind of lubricant. And this is what you would use to be able to maintain pressure on the spindle.
I got you. Well, let's
Yeah.
say it's getting a little chilly, so maybe we have to speed up the process. Do you have maybe will gloves intervene? Will that make that process perhaps a little bit easier?
Oh yeah, gloves when your hands are cold is a godsend for sure. But I got over here, I can't remember the brand name or anything, but they're just straight leather gloves. Leather lasts the longest, especially when you're treating it with oil. And if you're using, if you like boil some fish guts and then purify what comes out of that, you can use that and kind of just put that on your knives and your leather, and that's the Wilderman's oil.
Okay. So we have the friction. We're gonna need probably some kindling, something to burn it off of or start it. What do you recommend?
Definitely, definitely. With this in the hand drill, the embers produced are so fragile. You need something. You need pretty much like the pristine, most possible pristine, like fire starter stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Fatwood is excellent because the resin inside of here makes it to where you can literally light this stuff while it's wet. It doesn't rot ever because the resin basically keeps it like mummifies it almost. And then you don't just kind of like put the ember on this. You would like get a bunch of shavings off and make like kind of a cotton ball of fat wood and light that. And then when that's lighting, then you would put that to like dry leaves and twigs and then build up. You always build up when lighting a fire.
Of
Um,
course, if you're foraging, look for dry wood, kindling, anything that'll help that cause.
Oh yeah. If you can't find fat wood, dry wood works all the same. Um, and you just always go through the process of like as fine as you can get it to then, like maybe like a feathered stick and then leaves and up to logs.
I
And
got
then
you.
jute. I think we went over like making cotton balls out of this. This is my favorite stuff. There's also literal cotton balls soaked in a resin that's flammable that I have in like non-metal jars. Um, and I don't know, there's jute soaked in that same resin too, so it's like
Okay.
crazy firepower.
Well, it is getting a little bit of frostbite-ish. We're at the half point mark. If we're really in a pinch, obviously, some tampons, some disposable tampons will work. It's cotton, you can just pull that apart. But how are we going to light that quickly? Let's say we don't have time to whittle.
Okay, so I like these flares because uh, they don't have metal. I used the metal detector on this end too, just to make sure it wasn't like gonna go off. But you basically pop the cap off and just strike it on the side it's covering, and you can just light whatever basically with it. You can't go straight to sticks, of course, so you always kind of need something like this or Fatwood.
Hmm.
But this could do dry leaves, like easily, or like I don't know, something you can like kind of skip a step with these. And I like them because they also can be used for other things like signaling where you're at, fending off a bear. Like the uses. I can't even think of all the uses for something like that.
Let's go like variable. How useful you think waterproof matches? That's something you got to have in there, yeah.
Oh yeah, waterproof matches are very good. That's a popular choice for sure.
And of course, if you're on the road and you happen upon a car, if it's chilly outside, candles are obviously a keeper too, are they not?
So I like that because, as you see, I don't have any candles, but I do. I still need to get candles because
Mm,
there's two reasons why I like your idea of candles. One, you got your matches, and you can light the candle with the match, but instead of that match has a time limit on it, right? Before it burns
yeah,
out,
yeah.
you can light the candle and increase that time limit and use the candle to light multiple things. And then two, you can just use it as basically a flashlight almost, like going through your pack or like trying to, see in the dark. Um, and it's much more expendable, or not as expendable as glow sticks. You would want to kind of save these compared to using a
I
candle, which could
gotcha.
last thousands of hours.
Well, I think we'll probably have a session where we talk tactical lighting, etc. Aside from maybe building your fire against a rock wall where that rock will retain the heat, maybe keep you warm, is there any other tips about lighting a fire in a pinch that we got?
Basically, you would want to just block strong winds. Um, and say it's raining. Um, you would want to kind of cover. Hopefully, you already have a shelter by now, and you can kind of make it underneath that. At
Hmm.
least the initial stage too, and then bring out your ball of fire from the tinder into the fire pit.
You hate
But
to hear it. We have like 1 minute left before our fire really gets roaring. Is there any way to keep the smoke down? Maybe you're trying to keep a low profile.
so you can make a smokeless fire with that. And the way to do it is basically never go past small twigs when making the fire. So you use only tiny sticks that you see all over the forest floor,
Okay.
and never make the fire bigger than it needs to be, as in never giving more wood that then needs to be burned to keep the fire going, because the reason smoke happens is it's the excess amount of stuff being burnt, being
Mm.
thrown into the air that can't burn as fast completely or cleanly. So when you got a fire, smoke comes out. So it's just a smokeless fire would be the most efficient way possible um, of burning something, basically, when it's smokeless.
Shelter, food, fire. I think our next step is water, am I right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Thank God we got these graphics here to help us out. And of course, you casual viewer out there, you might be saying, "Well, I don't have this kind of discipline or supplies." Well, look at it this way: if me or IB give you some tips, maybe you pick up a tip, it gets you to the next world. Tell them Cujo and IB sent you. Yeah. Um, I think that's all we got for fire starting. Am I right?
Yeah, that's essentially it.
Okay. Thank you, my good man, and I appreciate you for being available and dropping these tips on us.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
All right, brother. I'll see you next time. Yeah.